Welcome to the 26th round of WTSS Season 7. We're at the Barbagallo Raceway in Australia to begin the final 5 races of the season and the championship picture. The Australasian Tour will close off the season. This track, this 1.5 mile technical road course, doesn't have high speeds, but has incredible high action and absolutely amazing races that we have seen in the past in the WTSS here. Any kind of race you can think of, it has happened here before. Fuel mileage, close finishes, absolute dominations, crash fests. We've seen it all. And we're back again for another 75 lap gauntlet around this 1.5 mile road course. Yuki Tamura just narrowly extended her point lead over title rival and teammate Ryan Reid last race in Rockingham. But it's the man third in points coming into this race with the momentum after leading all 100 laps at Rockingham, that being the 83 of Chris Louviere, who nearly won by half a lap. Tristan Wilhoit scored the pole in qualifying. While he may tell the media that he's out of the championship picture completely, don't count him out. The Season 4 champion is still just over a race worth of points behind the championship lead. It's now time for 75 laps of action here at Barbagallo. Second in the points, starting in 9th. Third in points, starting in 14th. And all the way back at the tail end of the top 20 is your championship leader, Yuki Tamura. The title picture could shake up today here in Barbagallo. Let's find out how the race goes as we get to the start. The pace car peels off into the only split pit lane on the calendar. Tristan Wilhoit and Ray Takeda lead us out of the final corner. And as we head down the front straightaway, 75 laps at Barbagallo is green. Wilhoit, the Season 4 champ, leads us into turn number 1. Multiple drivers fanning out 2 and 3 wide into this first turn. Keep an eye out. Will they be able to behave themselves and keep it clean on the start? We've seen carnage at the beginning of these races in the past. Figueroa sideways into the side of Ray Takeda. We keep it all in one piece at the front of the field. How about at the back? Everybody's going except for Kale Teskar Jr., who flies off the racetrack and is going to meet the tire barrier and won't even see past turn number 4 of the first lap of 75. Wilhoit has gotten away to an immense race lead towards the end of this first lap in the 17. Figueroa has gotten up into second ahead of Takeda. Brandon Crasta is up into 4th place, which might be the highest position he's ran on a road course in years in the WTSS. Wilhoit leads lap number 1 as Takeda attacks for 2nd place. 3, nearly 4 wide into the last corner, into that tight right 90-degree hander. They all make it through except for Kale Teskar Jr. Tough break for the rookie there. He won't even get to see the end of the first lap after a solid qualifying run. Takeda fights back, gives the same taste of medicine to Alison Figueroa from the first lap. Foils 2 tires on the dirt, keeps it on the racetrack. It is so incredibly difficult to do that and manage to recover it, but he does just that as Takeda officially takes the 2nd spot back from Alison Figueroa, who's now under pressure from one of the most unexpected faces she could see in the rearview mirror based off of the road course performances of this season. Crasta, the only driver of the entire 40-person grid who is literally mathematically ineligible to fight for this championship. Even if everything went his way, he would still lose. So maybe all that pressure off his shoulders really is lifting the Season 1 champ up to the front of the field for the first time in what feels like a long time. William Duncan inside on Ryan Reid for that 8th position. This is also in Duncan's best interest as a teammate to Chris Louviere to help limit the damage and points lost for the 83 as Ryan Reid runs a bit wide, almost makes contact with Jake Stevens. It's a big move, and it's a big completion for the 66. First points leader Yuki Tamura. She finds herself on the back foot on the exit of the corner there. 19th place for the number 60 car, which is about where she started. It is just not an offensive start for her as Brandon Crasta looks to be struggling for grip already after only 2 laps, and he's lost the track position and the room to Logan Hill, who gets down the inside into the final corner but can't actually find the traction off. And we know the straightaway speed and acceleration on that 63 car have been immense all season long, and he hangs on to the spot for the time being. 2.9 second lead already for Tristan Wilhoit. The 17 car looks wicked fast to open off this race. How about Daniel Giroux? Back row of the grid. Battling side by side for the 30th position with home hero Jeff McLennan. That 2 car looks incredibly fast on the short run. Will he be able to maintain it though? A weak qualifying has really hampered his efforts. It will be a forward climb through the whole day, even if that car is the best one in the field. William Duncan for 6th now on Fabio Vitabassa. He got Chris Dodd earlier in the lap. He gets Vitabassa at the end of the lap. And the 66 car is up 4 positions already in the first 5 laps. Big moving going on right now for drivers who have some immense pace underneath of them. But Wilhoit is the fastest of them all still. Now with a 55.85 out front here at Barbagallo right now. The only one of 2 drivers who have gotten a 55 in this race. Taka being the other with a 55.9. Yuki Tamura under pressure from teammate and team boss Scott Roush for the 19th position and loses it to the number 6 car. Unbelievable. Not what she would want, especially from a teammate, to be making a move like that down the inside, but he gets it done. And up into 19th place goes Scott Roush, as Logan Hill runs wide into the final corner while chasing Brandon Crasta for 4th place. Vitabassa under pressure from Jake Stevens in the 18, as Chris Dodd in the 8 approaches both of them into turn 1. Chris Louviere has only gone backwards so far in this race. Oh my goodness! You can't script it any worse for him! Last in points already by nearly 100 points. Brandon Crasta shreds a tire from 4th place on a road course. And the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad season continues for the Season 1 champion as he drops to the pit lane and is effectively out of this race, even though he has a chance to return. That is just absolutely gut-wrenching for the procrastination driver and crew. Oh my goodness. You just can't write it any differently. What a shame. Wilhoit continues to lead with another 55.8 that lap. The 17 car looks incredible right now. William Duncan also looks incredible. He's cracked the top 5 now with help from the 63 car's failure and has closed in on Logan Hill for 4th. Chris Louviere, Maverick's oval specialist this season, struggling a bit for grip, but still a top 20 is a solid result if he wants to keep himself within a shouting distance of the point lead. Yuki Tamura aggressively gets the spot back from teammate Scott Roush to get 18th now for the 60 car. Wilhoit now with a 3.5 second lead out front, as Logan Hill sets his best lap of the race in 4th with a 55.9 and a 55.791 for Jake Stevens, and William Duncan did a 55.758. So we have some drivers putting down some heaters right now out there as Ryan Reid attacks Chris Dodd for the 8th position. Reid will get the 8 car and uproot him from that 8th position. Oh, Eugene DeMax runs a bit wide there, right in front of our shot. Wilhoit now has come to the end of lap number 8, and it almost feels like he's stretching the legs out on that 17 car. 3.7 seconds now, as Brandon Crasta has finally made it back to pit lane. They're changing all 4 tires on that 63 car, and now it's just an R&D practice session for that team, unfortunately, as Louviere attacks Patrick Smith now for the 16th position and gets it from him. Might open the door for Yuki Tamura to possibly think about something. No, she can't quite do it. over the crest. Will Hoyt goes to complete lap number 9 of this race now. And William Duncan is not letting Logan Hill ease up even the slightest right now. And Jake Stevens is chasing both of them. This is going to be a road course race where we're going to see lap traffic eventually. Already 9 laps into the race, the last car running in the field is 24 seconds back, which is almost half a lap. So this is definitely going to be a race of many facets. It always has been, of every skill set you can have as a driver. That means managing the pace, saving the tires, and clearing lap traffic as DJ Curtis slides into the side of the 92 of Jeffrey Finguy. Curtis gets going almost immediately with some severe rear end damage. Finguy looks to be basically undamaged, but he falls all the way to the back of the field, just ahead of the lapper of Crasta. And what was turning out to be possibly a top 20 day for the 92 ends up scraping along the side of the barriers backwards. And Curtis with some severe rear end damage. I would not be shocked to see the 54 crew pull him in to try and see if they can pull that out. Louviere attacking Voiles there, but doesn't end up making the move. No, Curtis stays out, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, as the gap has now grown to 4 seconds out front for Tristan Wilhoit. We see another move has been made. Alex Benyako has gotten through on Jake Stavinaugh, as well as Nugroho on Innes. Daniel Giroux's forward charge continues. He has caught Mark Nutt now in the 57 for 25th place. And from the back row of the grid, give a shout out to the guy who really has admitted road courses are not his forte in this form of racing. So that is an immense job by the two of Daniel Giroux that has put himself almost into the top 25 now. Wilhoit's lead has stagnated at around 4.2 seconds. Nobody out there really running much quicker than him. Logan Hill and William Duncan are about a tenth to half a tenth quicker on average, but they are 7 and 8 seconds behind respectively, so it would take a few fair laps to actually make up that entire deficit, but they are there. They are quicker, so Wilhoit is not the class of the field necessarily. Jake Stevens is still running in the 55s. He's the man with the second fastest lap on the race so far, so he is another driver to keep an eye on, especially if he can keep that kind of pace differential to Wilhoit throughout the entire length of this event. As we now see multiple moves going down into the final corner, with Wangzawat down the inside of Angel for 20th place. And they're going to stay side by side for that position all the way through that first sector. Be careful, boys. Wangzawat looks like he's got the preferred line now, and he should have the advantage into that next right-hander. Meanwhile, Mitchell Mark attacking Jeff McLennan for 28. This has been, frankly, a home race nightmare for McLennan. The rest of his teammates are all up in the top 15, top 5, leading the race. You know, they're all up there, and he's having really struggling right now, especially after being second in points for as long as he was all season. It's got to be a little bit tough of a pill to swallow, honestly. But it's not over at all, and the championship's not over either. Even a bad day today would not knock him out of the title hopes. Man, Jake Stevens is fast. I'm going to keep an eye on that 18 car, because I absolutely think he could be a driver that could throw himself into the conversation later on in this race. As DeMax attacks Bisceglia back here for 32nd. Oddly bad day for both of them, who are usually pretty high up the order. Bisceglia not really known for his road course abilities, but he hasn't necessarily been bad either, as DJ Curtis finally comes into the pits to remedy the damage on his 54 car and put him in a better pitting window to go to the rest of the race on just 2 stops. And And he's going to rejoin the race in the middle of traffic here. In between the Logan Hill and William Duncan cars, yes. So William Duncan is going to have to make quick work of that 54 car. Just as Hill had caught Figueroa for third, and Duncan was keeping up with the 11. He was trying to keep the 18 of Stevens back as long as possible, but now 54 on cold tires and with repaired damage on that car in the way out of the pits. No tire blankets, of course, in the WTSS, so that is going to be a miserable outlap on cold tires for the 54 and everybody who gets stuck behind him in the process. Oh, and Duncan gets aggressive on the brakes and overshoots, locks up into the corner. Stevens cuts underneath, side by side down the front straightaway, and if he can stay alongside into turn 1, he'll have the move on the 66 that he needs to initiate a pass for 5th place. Big move from Stevens all the way up through the S's. He's now in the preferred line. If he can stay alongside the 66, it's almost a done deal. As Curtis's fresh tires have sent him away now from these guys. It's hard to understate how good fresh tires are around here. This track eats tires for breakfast. And that is, of course, Stevens through on Duncan. I don't think that battle is necessarily over with, but it is a big, big knock to the 66's forward progress in this race. .2 seconds, 5.3 now for Will Hoyt out front, and that lap of battling with Duncan and with a little bit of traffic is definitely, yeah, that sent Stevens' gap all the way back over 10 seconds. He had cut it down to almost under 8 seconds before all that went down. So that is going to be something of interest amongst all of the teams looking at the data right now of frankly what it's going to cost if they end up getting caught behind people who undercut them on their outlaps, or if they end up getting stuck battling for multiple laps in a row while trying to sort a pit cycle out or a strategy they want to make work. You're definitely going to bleed so much time around this track battling. You're going to see Curtis probably getting a little bit aggressive with these guys to get past them as fast as possible, because he's got the fresher tires. Yes, he has a slightly damaged race car, but that fresh tire advantage is going to completely negate that damage effect, and he's going to lose out on any strategy opportunities and track position he would have later on in the race if he can't clear the traffic quick enough with his fresh tires. Louviere inside on Voiles for 15th place. It's not crazy forward progress as engine failure of massive proportions with the 08 of Chonarong Longzawat down to turn number 1. And that 08 car is going to grind to a halt at the exit of the first corner. No one's going to get caught up in it, but from 20th place, man, you just got to feel for him. After such a run of momentum in comparison to his teammates as of recent. And just as that was happening, Jeffrey Finguy came in to remedy the damage, the minor damage that he sustained in that accident with DJ Curtis earlier on. He's going to come out of the pits in traffic as well here. And he's going to come out on the same piece of racetrack as DJ Curtis here. He'll have to do an outlap on cold tires, of course, but that could be really spicy later on, especially if these two end up having to battle for position later on in the race. That is possibly a fight waiting to happen, especially post-race. I mean, Finguy has never been one to stray away from the fact that he wears his emotions on his sleeve wherever he goes in the world of motorsport, and I can imagine it was not the prettiest radio communications after that contact with DJ Curtis earlier on, after Curtis swung his 54 car into the side of the 92, spinning them both off the racetrack. Speaking of Curtis now, though, fresh tire advantage, unlapping himself from 3rd place Allison Figueroa now. Oh, bad final corner from Jake Stevens. Caught up behind the 92 of Finguy a bit there. Duncan almost makes a move down the inside for 5th place. still no significant forward progress from championship leader Yuki Tamura in 18th place right now. We saw Louviere make a move for 15th on Voiles, which was successful, but we're not seeing the same thing out of Tamura so far in this race, as we see Mitchell Carter now filing down the inside of the 87 of Jeff McLennan. And you know you're having a bad day on a road course when Mitchell Carter is the one making the move on you for that position. I see a slight dent on the right side door of the 87 of McLennan, and I almost have to wonder if maybe he's been nursing a tire rub for a chunk of this race. I don't know if I remember seeing that in the recent laps, but again, I couldn't possibly know, as we have a big move down the inside for third place. Logan Hill and Allison Figueroa. If he can stay within a shout of getting down the inside into turn 1, this could be a big move, but he isn't able to continue the pass attempt on the run into turn 1. But the 11 car, making his presence known, as Figueroa's pace completely fades away from the rest of the field. You have to wonder what the game plan is going to be for the 17 crew as well. If you come in early, you're going to get bounced back into traffic probably on pit exit, and possibly get held up by slower cars while trying to make laps on fresh tires. But an overcut will put you at risk of massive gains by your competition on you. We're already at almost a second of tire wear on these cars, and it's going to get worse, for sure. Meanwhile, Curtis just turned the second fastest lap of the race last time by. So that gives you an idea of where we're at tire wear wise. As Scott Roush has once again made a move down the inside of teammate Yuki Tamura. He says, I understand you're the championship leader and you're my teammate, but you got to get a move on or else I'm going to be losing positions. And he goes down the inside again on the 60. Side by side we go. Ooh, sketchy moment right there between the two teammates, but Roush with the advantage now, and this could put Tamura vulnerable to lose a position to Sean Angel. And it will. The 58 files down the inside of the 60, and he gets through as well, and maybe even Roberto Crown Jr. if he gets opportunistic enough. Not quite. The gap over 6.5 seconds now for Tristan Wilhoit out front. Oh my goodness, and it just doesn't get any worse for the 5 Brandon Crasta fans in the grandstands today. And the Season 1 champ, after getting his first top 5 road course qualifying in what feels like years, blows a tire from 4th place. And then, while rolling around at the back of the field after said tire failure, engine puts him out of his misery. And I almost wouldn't put it past him if he just hit the kill switch or shifted into neutral out of a corner. Just said, I'm done with this day. And Crasta pulls into the pits just over 20 laps into the event, not even a third of the way through, and will retire from the race as Wilhoit files past through that final corner right now. And that's the first lap all day. He's turned in the 57s. That tells you where we're at tire wear wise. He's now lost about 1.2 seconds on his peak speed. Tristan and Jeffrey Finguy is having a lot more trouble with this traffic than DJ Curtis was having, and he is really facing the consequences of it. He's still stuck behind Logan Hill and Allison Figueroa as Curtis continues to fly away from the 92, so have to keep an eye on that, because the longer Finguy gets stuck behind these guys, I have a feeling the more desperate of moves he's going to try and make to try and get past these cars that he should be already clear of. But Curtis himself has been having trouble with the 50 of Ray Takeda and has not been able to find a way past that car either, and so forward progress is kind of stalled out for both of them at the moment. The guy runs a bit wide at the final corner there, and all his momentum is lost once again. They're all running about 57 zeros at the front of the field right now. Nobody's really running in the 56s anymore, with the exception of a couple cars in the midfield. It is we're really now starting to hit the tail end of this tire wear window here, where it now becomes less worth it to stay out until the fuel window is up, because they can make it almost 60 laps on fuel around here. About 55 is the maximum we've seen in years past. And so, yeah, right on cue. End of lap 25 at the 1/3 mark. Tristan Wilhoit cuts it down into pit lane. That will allow Ray Tockett in the 50 to cross the line and lead a lap to get a bonus point on the day. William Duncan in the 66. Maverick Motorsports putting all their eggs in the same basket right now, undercutting as well. Sebastian Van Dalen is in. Louviere skips out, so they are splitting strategies a little bit at Maverick right now, but not by a lot. A couple other cars in. I see Bobby Frazier, Mark Nutt. Wilhoit is going to rejoin the rest of the field in between the Daniel Giroux and James Gibson cars at around the 25th position mark in the field. So that's going to be really a marker of where everybody else is at, as Sebastian Van Dalen had to wait for Aiden Shepard to go past to get out of his pit stall. It is a very tight center lane here, the only split pit lane in the entire WTSS calendar. Stevens is in now, end of lap 26. Ryan Reid, second in the championship, is the first of the title contenders to come in. Louviere follows him in, and so does Tamura. So all three title contenders of the main ones are all in at the same time. We're now starting to see it turn from just a few people pitting to a majority of the field pitting. Now the people that are staying out are actually the minority in the field here around Barbagallo. Ray Tockett is going to be coming back around again. Will she come in after skipping the pits twice? Slow stop for the 83 of Chris Louviere. I think he might have had to wait for cars leaving his stall. Ooh, almost contact there between Finn Guy and Mark out of the exit of the final corner. And the 50 marches on. Tockett continues out there. Maybe she's going to try a one-stop. I mean, it's not unheard of. We've seen people try it in the past, but for the most part, it's been a really... it's been a really unwanted strategy. It is one of those ones that you go for it just because you got nothing to lose. But Tockett has got a lot to lose, running second all day up to this point. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Yuki Tamura on Sean Angel down into the final corner. Angel on his outlap. Tamura already up to 10th. He's going to clear the 58 almost on the exit. Tockett goes another lap. So does Figueroa. So does Hill. We have some split strategies going on right now, but I see Fabio Vitabassa making a break to pit road. So we're seeing people bailing out on even thinking about doing a one-stopper, but there are a lot more people than I was expecting committing to staying out a lot longer than a lot of the leaders. There also is the game that you could stay out a little bit longer, take your 4-tire stop, and add enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. I could also see that being a call that some people are making. Splash of fuel being reported for the Fabio Vitabassa machine. As I'm being told of reports right now that the 64 of Alex Constantine caught the end of the tire wall coming into the pits and is out of the race. That is something we'll have to go back and check on. But I did hear something of the sort about that, and so the 64 is out of the race. I mean, I don't think we mentioned his name all day up to this point, but that's just so unfortunate. And yet another pit road mishap for the 64. There's been a lot of them this season in terms of incidents happening in the pit lane. Almost to the end of lap 30 now, and I have to feel that the people that have not pit yet have really made their bet. That it is almost certain that they're going for a one-stopper now at this point. And we have an actual battle for position amongst some of these drivers. Figueroa and Hill side by side for second place right now. Chris Dodd is still circulating out there. So is Innes, Voiles, Scott Roush, Roberto Crown Jr. There is Tristan Wilhoit, turning some of his fastest laps of the entire race in the 9th place, but effective P1 position right now. Then it's Eugene DeMax, who has stayed out up to this point, trying to keep Jake Stevens and William Duncan back. Then it's Ryan Reid, Vitabasa, who just pit, Stavinaugh, Van Dalen, Nugroho, Smith, Tamura, Angel, and there's Takeda once again being passed by Daniel Giroux, or unlapped by Giroux, and she's in. End of lap 31. She went 6 laps longer than race leader Tristan Wilhoit, and into the pit she goes. That means that Allison Figueroa in the 98 will now get credited with a lap led and a bonus point. Nobody else bailing though. But I almost feel like the Crescent Enterprises crew finally got nervous enough to say, maybe we should actually try to come in here and not put all of our eggs into the basket of this extreme overcut. She's going to lose a lot of track position here in terms of time lost to Tristan Wilhoit. But, it's going to be close. Not quite. She will not come out in second place still. Stevens holds that moniker ahead of Duncan and then Takeda. Oh, the 66 getting aggressive with the 4 of DeMax, trying to get past him while he's still can with those old tires on the number 4 car, as Wilhoit has now caught Roberto Crown Jr. this lap to try and take 8th or 7th, what is effectively still P1, but 7th on the road right now. But he's unable to find a way through that time, and has to overshoot the last corner. Quite immense, actually. Takeda and Hill are causing quite a logjam up here at the top of the hill. Cars trying to file their way past both of them right now at once. Takeda now is going to have 6 lap pressure tires than the rest of the lead contenders, so it's not like it's at a complete loss that she stayed out that long and then pit, but it is going to be one she's going to have to work for. It's not going to be just handed to her, because it is already difficult as is to pass at this track, as Wilhoit is proving right now with Roberto Crown Jr. still unable to find a way past the 46. Oh, Fabio Vitabasa. Engine failure for the 02. Was starting to shape himself into a pretty solid day in that 02, but game over as he tries to limp his way back to the pit entrance, gets across the track cleanly, and out of the race for the Alfa Romeo driver who was going to be contending for a top 10 finish, I have a feeling, today. Nothing left out of that car. Man, that sucks. As I think we are seeing Allison Figueroa finally coming in on the at the end of the 34th lap of this race, and Logan Hill says, "No, thank you. I'm still going," and continues on. In fact, a decent amount of names are still going, as I have a suspicious feeling that the disappearance of Roberto Crown Jr. in front of Tristan Wilhoit is not because of the 46 pitting. Tristan Wilhoit, I think, finally has been fed up waiting behind the Fingai Saitomi rookie, and wow, hooks the 46. What a save from Crown Jr., but he just can't get stopped in time, and I almost feel like that was an attempted retaliation of sorts by the Fingai Saitomi 46 driver. He missed barely, overshot the hairpin a massive amount, and has been forced to come into the pits after rejoining the racetrack with some damage. Wow, that's going to be a controversial one there. It has been a bad day for Fingai Saitomi. 2 different incidents caused by other drivers against their drivers. And that one wasn't even fair. I mean, that was just a little impatience from the race leader, Wilhoit, I have a feeling. And you got to feel bad for the rookie, really. He was putting on a really strong performance up to that point. And now, as you can see, Wilhoit directly behind him. That's going to be for putting the 46 a lap down, effectively. Wilhoit is now trapped behind both Scott Roush and Daniel Voiles, though. So the 17 is going to have to make quick work of these guys as he catches Scott Roush and Voiles at an awkward moment in time. But Roush is now peeking to the outside of the 13, down to this right-hander. This sort of banked right-hander. Oh, Wilhoit squeezing up to the side of the 6, making the most of a bad situation, caught in traffic. But he doesn't get the momentum off on that inside lane. And Roush and Voiles stay ahead for the time being. Logan Hill continues to stay out in this race, trying to go for a one-stopper, which on paper would be the quicker strategy, but it's all about how you end up with the slower cars around you. Ray Takeda just turned her fastest lap of the race, the 6th fastest of the event. Yuki Tamura is actually the fastest car on the racetrack right now in that 60 car, trying to make a move on Patrick Smith. Can't find a way past, but have to wonder where she could be right now without a barely top 20 qualifying performance from the championship leader. Hill is continuing to form the Great Wall right now against all of these lead lappers desperately trying to get past him to get on with their strategies. Wilhoit's got to be feeling the exact same way about Scott Roush now at this exact moment as Jake Stevens encroaches on his race gap. Out front is now 2.6 seconds between Wilhoit and Stevens. Oh, there he goes, side by side with the 6. We're on the outside through there. Nothing. Off camber corner, can't find anything. Scott Roush is making his life miserable right now. Former pseudo teammates. When Maverick and Roush Racing Enterprises used to have a partnership. The partnership that won Tristan Wilhoit the championship that year. You'd think there might be a little bit more leniency, but Scott Roush has always been a stalwart on the racetrack and has made himself the widest one out there on numerous occasions. And that has completely evaporated Tristan Wilhoit's effective race lead. Here comes Jake Stevens. We got a fight on our hands now. Ooh, Ryan Reid running way wide at the final corner. Now you're going to start getting desperate if you're Tristan Wilhoit. Now it's really, I mean, I guess that urgency he had with Roberto Crown Jr. was warranted because he ended up getting stuck behind the 6 car so much worse without pulling any aggressive moves. And now suddenly we have a 3-way fight for this race lead as Jake Stevens peeks down the inside of Tristan Wilhoit for the race lead. On lap number 39 of 75, the rookie trying to peek out front here at Barbagallo. Here comes William Duncan now. 2 Maverick cars versus 1 Rohit Atkinson. And don't look now, but Ray Takeda on 6 lap pressure tires approaches all of them. Stevens sliding sideways nearly into the side of Wilhoit. Give the lead to the rookie. Jake Stevens leads at Barbagallo. Here comes Duncan for second. Sideways for the 66. Can't get the move done. Logan Hill has been shuffled up finally by Hu Ji-yeon. But man, he is not making very many friends out there in that group. Now it's Stevens' turn to struggle with Scott Roush in the 6 as Wilhoit peeked down the inside but couldn't do the same thing Stevens was able to pull off. 4 cars under a blanket. Takada now at the best position. As Wilhoit burned his tires up. Duncan now attacking his teammate. Wilhoit peeks down the inside of Stevens again. At the sweeper, but can't find a way through. Takada on Duncan. Nearly contact between the two of them. Stevens finds it down the inside of Roush. He's finally found a chink in the armor. And the 6 car is going to have to give track position up. At long last. His argument with Wilhoit is going to be, you were 4 position. I'm fighting for every point I've got just like you are. You were 4 position, but Wilhoit will argue you're on a completely different strategy. Get out of my way. As he finally has to cede way to the 17 now. But it almost feels like too little too late. Jake Stevens leads, effectively leads, here at Barbagallo. As Takada has cleared William Duncan for what is effectively P3, but we don't know where the one-stoppers are going to fall out in this strategy pile. And there is always the forbidden option. People who end up pulling a one-stop from the lap 25 pit stop that they pulled. As Stevens runs wide, now dealing with foils, Wilhoit peeks back to the bumper. Now what do you do? Because traffic ahead is multiple seconds a lap slower than what your tires are capable of. And they're battling for position. Contact is made! Roberto Crown Jr. sends Chris Dodd up into the tire wall. And that makes it easy work for the race leaders to get that position from Dodd. As Duncan files one down the inside of Takada while dealing with Scott Roush. Absolute chaos here at Barbagallo. Desperation from Crown Jr., honestly, just to try and get back up the order as best as possible. As he files it 3 wide on the front straightaway. You know he didn't want to be overtaken by Wilhoit right there into that braking zone, and he made sure of it. Stevens gets Innes, and now there's 3 cars of a buffer in between himself and race lead battle rival Tristan Wilhoit. Oh, I think Ryan Reid is at an off at some point. Has the 90 car fallen off the racetrack at some point? Oh, contact with Allison Figueroa. Pseudo teammates. Oh, and you don't want to be doing that when Reid is battling for a championship here. Does he get the car slowed down in time for the turn? He hits his teammate, and then Figueroa pile drives into him into the corner. But they get away without major damage, but that is huge for Ryan Reid's championship position. Reid owns that 98 car. His family runs that team. That is going to be hugely controversial. They're all in. The one-stoppers have finally bailed with about 30 laps to go. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the one-stop strategy might be the successful one at the end of the day. close call there between Bobby Fraser and Logan Hill, as Hill is on his outlap right now on cold tires. And he's going to lose a heap of track position there around all these guys. Three wide back here. Contact between Finguy and Dodd now. And the relationship between Finguy Saitomi and CJ Racing almost feels non-existent at this point. As Scott Roush finally bails on his strategy. DeMax and Voiles are also in. And now Jake Stevens leads Tristan Wilhoit by 5.9 seconds in a race that Wilhoit nearly had that gap out front earlier on. Unbelievable. What crazy scenes going on here in Barbagallo right now. Like I said in the pre-race show, you can get any kind of race here at Barbagallo, and we're seeing it again as Logan Hill files one down the inside of Daniel Giroux to try and make up for lost time stuck behind the traffic. That's the key to making his strategy work, is get the traffic quicker than Wilhoit was able to. Now Stevens is going to catch another cluster of cars up ahead. Can the rookie hold a steady head? Hill did not complete the move on Giroux, even with the fresher tires. That is huge for this battle between one stop and two stop right now. Wow. Sean Angel and Patrick Smith, these two have had a few run-ins this season. The only two Canadians in the field, ironically, have had numerous collisions this season. Dating all the way back to the season opener on the first lap of the championship. Angel, though, going to get the upper hand on Smith this time around to clear for that 9th position, and will allow Ryan Reid a chance to chase him down for 10th. Logan Hill now under pressure from Mark Nutt. Unreal, even with the way fresher tires on that 11 car. Have to keep an eye on that as well, as Takeda is finally in for her second stop. Really early compared... Wow. 6-lap overcut on the leaders, and now undercutting all of them for her second stop of the race. Bold choice. There's Logan Hill going past. So she's only going to have a couple lap advantage over Hill's tires and the rest of them. I'm not sure what the call here is, but we'll have to see if it works, but I really don't see it. Mark Nutt, Patrick Smith is in. Mitchell Mark. Maybe this is further evidence that the one stop was the right call all along, but Wilhoit and Duncan do not seem convinced and are continuing to stay out with Jake Stevens. Right now it feels like a game of do what Stevens does, because he seems to be doing everything right. Sebastian Van Dalen's in. Stavanaugh, Angel, they're all peeking into the pits. Louviere, also into the pits, as Hill continues to struggle behind Daniel Giroux in the 2 car. Oh boy. I think we've got takers. Stevens is in. Jake Stevens is into the pits. Wilhoit is in. Duncan is in. The two-stoppers have made their bed. They were unable to clear the traffic as effectively as they wanted to, and are now going to come out behind Logan Hill and company. Oh boy. Now this is where it gets really interesting. What do? Do you have the pace advantage with just a few lap pressure tires now to overcome that loss that you've suffered? And Hill has to majorly check up. He wasn't sure if Giroux and Fraser were pitting or not there. He's now got clean air ahead of him, and out of the pits he comes. And a slow stop for the 17 of Tristan Wilhoit. He almost got ahead of Jake Stevens there, but couldn't quite do it. And Takada's jumped them all. Takada's the leading driver on the two-stop now. Figueroa's continuing to circle right now out there. One of the other drivers on the two-stop strategy. Could she possibly be converting this into an alternate one-stop strategy? She comes really close to the 45 of Nugroho out of the pits there, I have to say. But have the few that pull a one-stop been absolutely brilliant strategists? Now what do? Figueroa has still not come into the pits yet in that 98 car. So right now she is the race leader, but she is numerous seconds a lap slower than the field behind. But if this is an attempt at a late one-stop call, she would be on the third different strategy that's going on in this race currently. Finn Guy and Scott Roush getting close quarters there. As Takada, now the leading two-stop driver, going around the outside, switches to the inside on the 6 car, and is through. Big move. The gap was 11 seconds last time by Figueroa, turning a 56.4 that time. Could she possibly be in position to make this work? That would be something. As Roush files it back down the inside of Takada into turn 1. Like I said, it is harder to pass that 6 car than it is to pass a kidney stone. And it just continues on as Roush fires it back around the outside of the 50. Oh man, Jake Stevens cut it close there. Figueroa marches on. And the gap really not shrinking as much as you'd think it would be right now. Possibly due to the traffic of Jeff McLennan in the way of Logan Hill. Could this be an absolute masterclass pole by Reid Family Racing? 10.7. It's a pretty substantial gain that time from the 11 crew. McLennan now turning 55.9, so I think that opens the floodgates now out front. Yeah, but it really just shows the two-stop was just not the way to go, unfortunately. It was It has worked in the past. We have had people win on the two-stop in the past, but it has just not worked today. Aiden Shepard just having a rough day in that 42. He is back into the pits. Just not having a good time out there. Oh, but he's going to come out of the pits and get in the way of these guys, I think. This is going to be a headache for some of these people. From Innes on back. Wow. Thin guy on Voiles now. This isn't for position, like I'll remind you, so he's just going to swing around the outside of the 13 here and take his track position, but Voiles will keep fourth for the time being. Figueroa marches on. It shrunk to 10 seconds last time by. What's it going to be now? 56.7 for Figueroa. What about Hill? 55.9. 9.3 seconds now. The gap is shrinking. It was a risky call by Reid Family Racing, and it looks like the risks are still there till the end of the race. McLennan is not posing any sort of a holdup for Logan Hill. So this is going to be down to whether or not the 11 car can keep the pace good enough to catch that 98 car. Wow, massive gains that lap. 56.8 for Figueroa, 56.1 for Hill. It's 8.6 seconds now with 18 laps to go. As we're nearly approaching 15 laps to go. And we're finally starting to see the fruits of every pit crew and strategist labors right now. As the gap shrinks to 8 seconds now between Hill and Figueroa out front. Championship contenders, Ryan Reid finds himself in 17th place after running top 10 all day. He's actually behind Chris Louviere, who's in 16th place. But Yuki Tamura, the championship leader, the biggest winner of all of the title contenders, finds herself in 14th place after running the third best of all three of them all day. Brilliant, brilliant from the Roush Racing Enterprises crew. For sure. Those are the kinds of performances that even while on the back foot you can pull off that win championships. 56.9 for Figueroa. 56.2 for Hill. It's 7.3 seconds now. The gap continues to shrink as they fight for position behind the 98. And it gets really close quarters between Benyako and Nugroho. William Duncan making a move on Yuki Tamura. That is for position for 14th place and gets through. And I know that 66 and their entire crew would have wanted to be fighting for the race victory right now, but you got to salvage what points you can take. Figueroa once again. See what she can put down. 57.1. Hill, in his efforts, to 56.3. It's 6.5 seconds now. The gap ever shrinks with 15 laps to go now. Elijah Innes has cleared Jeffrey Finguy in the 92. Could be a career best finish for the number 1 driver, who's had a real rough time transitioning to this series compared to the rest of the rookies, but it would be a big pick-me-up for him if he could pull off a 3rd place finish and be the highest finishing rookie in the race, especially after Stevens looked like he could win it at one point. But a podium for Elijah Innes would be like a win, and Figueroa, the crew have called her in. She's pitting with 15 to go. And that throws her strategy completely out the window, and I honestly don't know if she's even going to be able to salvage a top 10 out of this race. That is going to be a tough ask from the 98. If she can get out ahead of Sebastian Van Dalen, maybe. No, not even close. She's going to come out behind Yuki Tamura. And it's a slow stop to repair damage as well. It's just not looking good as she comes into turn 1 and gets pounced on by Ryan Bolden. Oh, it must have been a tire rub from the damage that forced her into the pits. That is just heartbreaking loss for Alison Figueroa right there. She might have had still had a chance to fight off Logan Hill there, but I don't know. "13 laps to go at Barbagallo." As that's a move, Louviere pounces on the cold-tired Figueroa. That's another point for one of your title contenders right there, as Ryan Reid attacks Chris Dodd as well. Any point matters right now in this championship picture. As Sean Angel runs wide, Patrick Smith nearly gets into the side of him. Yuki Tamura trying to take an opportunistic move there, but can't. Not quite at all. Logan Hill is sailing free out front. The one-stop strategy was the right call. The people on the two-stop could not clear the traffic fast enough on fresh tires. And a lot of that can be put in part to Scott Roush's efforts to keep Tristan Wilhoit back for as long as he did. I think if Roush had not kept the 17 back for as long as he did, honestly, Wilhoit, maybe even Stevens, would be up with Hill or with Innes right now in this running. And that I think the two-stop could have worked without the 6 cars' intervention. "11 laps to go over the number 11 car, as Jake Stevens attacks the 50 of Ray Takeda for at least to salvage a top 5 out of the day. At least give me that, he says. William Duncan's fighting for a top 10 on a day where he probably felt like he could have fought for the win. And that's just been the tale of the season for some of those Maverick guys in some races this season. Ten laps to go this time around for Logan Hill. The Rolling Logs team. Driver owner Logan Hill. Man, oh man, he has been a part of this series since day one. And has really been a force to be reckoned with every second he's been a part of this championship. 8.5 seconds clear of rookie Elijah Innes for second place. It would have been a really interesting battle to see if Hill could have caught and passed Figueroa for the lead, but we won't have to know that. His most recent victory was the second to last race of last season during the Australasian Tour. Oh, and Daniel Giroux! Heartbreak from the back row of the grid, almost into the top half of the field. Engine failure for the Audi, and into turn one. He peaks across the racing line, almost into the path of race leader Logan Hill. That could have been a catastrophe there for the 2 car and for the 11, but it ends up working out fine. But you just have to feel for that entire crew. The forward progress they made all day has been completely erased. Hill on the season already has a pole at Nazareth. Did not convert that into a race victory. But today, here at Barbagallo, it's basically all signed, sealed, and delivered without a mechanical gremlin. Or without something out of his control, like a possible car swiping across the racing line while limping. Like that. It would be Hill's 9th career victory, putting him one away from the illustrious double digits club that most recently Chris Dodd and Tristan Wilhoit have joined this season. You can't say Logan Hill's not been a title contender in his seasons in WTSS, but he's never put on a charge where he was right there in the mix right at the end. Innes about to score what would be a remarkable second place, best career finish of his rookie season so far. Scott Roush has really needed a pick-me-up, and on a road course of all tracks, I think he would more than take a podium. Ray Takeda is going to be one of those drivers thinking, what could have been? Same with Jake Stevens, Tristan Wilhoit, William Duncan. Duncan has actually taken the 10th position away from Sebastian Van Dalen when we were looking at other battles. So the 66 will at least salvage a top 10 finish, but just like their teammate Chris Louviere, just what could have been, really. Louviere's gotten ahead of Reid in the 90. But there is no way, without divine intervention, that anybody is stopping and denying Logan Hill victory here in Barbagallo as he comes to 6 laps to go in the 11 car. At about the halfway point of this race, if you had told me that Yuki Tamura would be the highest finishing of the championship trio at the end of this race, I'd say, how? Well, here's how. It just worked out with the strategy, the right calls, the right traffic, everything. And the 60 car is just about 5 laps away almost from a incredibly fortunate top 15 finish ahead of her 2 title rivals, as Scott Roush has taken second away from Elijah Innes. Innes has completely faded away towards the end of this race. Here comes Takeda and Stevens. And Wilhoit trying not to lose out to Jake Stavanaugh there. Takeda inside on Innes for 3rd place. Oh, contact between the 2 of them. That's going to run the 1 car wide. Here comes Jake Stevens. And And Takeda might make it that the leading two-stopper could possibly be the second-place finisher if she can catch up to Scott Roush, which would really show that Roush himself has been solely responsible for the two-stop strategy not contending for the race victory today. But he's rewarded himself with a second-place finish if he can hang on. So, very, very positive day for the Roush Racing Enterprises camp across the whole board. And I know that Ryan Reid's result doesn't show it, but he ran top 10 and he qualified top 10. Just the strategy department let him down a little bit. 4 laps to go. There's a battle for position. 2 lappers, Jeffrey Finguy, Aiden Shepard. Both drivers wished they had better days. Both had circumstances out of their control stopping them today. Figueroa has gotten through on Louviere. But a top 15 is as far as she goes. Wilhoit on to Max for 7th, not quite. Three laps to go for Logan Hill. 10 seconds the gap from first to second place. As Scott Roush now begins to navigate traffic ahead. And negotiate the fact that Ray Takeda is approaching quickly behind. Two laps to go for the 11 car of Logan Hill. As Finguy tried to make the move on Angritz for 31st, but could not. Right in front of second place Scott Roush. This is a battle right here. Roush versus Takeda. And you may think to yourself, is it really worth it to fight to the death for second place this late into a race? We've seen it almost, I think, 3 times this season. We've had a driver from the race lead have a mechanical gremlin of some sort. So, you never know in the WTSS. This, for all you know, last corner of the last lap, Logan Hill gets an engine failure and he can't make it to start-finish line. It comes to a stop before he can get there. You just never know. Every moment counts, every position counts, every point counts at every moment. But meanwhile, the white flag falls. 1 lap to go for Logan Hill. And he's clear sailing ahead. As Wilhoit runs wide in the final corner and nearly puts himself vulnerable to Stavina. He'll be 1 win away from joining the illustrious double-digit club. A veteran of the sport all the way back to season 2. And as he makes it to the long, sweeping right-hander, there's now 1 more corner to go. Logan Hill has contended all season long, but finally, his day with the checkered flag comes in race number 26 at Barbagallo. Logan Hill wins for the first time all season in WTSS Season 7. And at the line, Scott Roush's stark defense is successful as he holds off to second place ahead of Ray Takeda. Stevens will come home in 4th. Innes will round out the top 5 here at Barbagallo with Voiles, DeMax, Wilhoit, who's wondering what could have been, Stavina, and William Duncan, the top 10. Van Dalen, Angel, and Yuki Tamura pulling off a 13th place finish, stealing 13th from Patrick Smith in the dying laps of the race to be the leading contender of this race, of the championship picture. Chris Louviere and Ryan Reid find themselves 16th and 17th. It was a race where you couldn't quite tell which strategy was going to be the one on top, and I think, given a couple different circumstances, the two-stop could have been the successful strategy. But I think a lot of the reason for that was the defense that Scott Roush put up early on in the race. The few drivers that pulled the one-stop made massive gains, and one of them never looked back. Congratulations to Logan Hill, your winner here at Barbagallo. We'll see you next week for the second to last oval race of the season at the Calder Park Thunderdome.